Machine, sponsored by Prop Juice, AI Worth the Squeeze, and Skybox Sports Network. Get your dream sports ticker at Skybox Sports Network. Welcome in, everybody, to Week 4, Man versus the Machine. We focus in on the intersection of expert-based capping and AI-generated projections in this fast-growing world of sports betting. I'm Steve Shellman. This is Brian Reiner, and we'll be taking you to the NFL slate each week using a combination of AI and expert capper opinion to make winning picks. Brian's a world-renowned poker player and has been capping games well before the boom of online sports gambling. I've spent the majority of my career using quantitative models to explain and predict and forecast human behavior. Specifically, my work is focused on political violence and terrorism, coups, riots, assassinations, mass protests, international conflicts, and disputes among countries. My team and I have been building quantitative models and data pipelines for the Defense Department for over 15 years. We recently just repurposed all of our technology and turned it on the sports world to forecast game outcomes and player stats. Those insights are now beginning to be packaged in an application that we call Prop Juice. And we are really just getting started in terms of what we got planned. Today, we're going to discuss the various betting angles from both a human expert side and an AI data-driven perspective. And hopefully, we're going to make more informed picks this week regarding spreads, money lines, totals, and our best human machine-generated prop picks. Brian's going to talk about all the key issues affecting teams and players and how that impacts the lines and angles. And I'm going to show you what the models are saying about the latest game and player projections. Each week, we're going to focus on a few games and use those insights from both the human expert and the AI side to give our fans the best bets of the week. So before we get started, I just want to say that my Dogs got a big game this week against Bama. So I'm chilling my inner Pat McAfee, wearing my eat off the floor tank top that he wore on game day in 2023, right? I got my natty ball here reminding me that we beat Bama 33-18 in the natty. So let's go, Dogs. Come on, Dogs. Come on, baby. What you think? What you think about this Georgia-Bama game, Brian?
I think it's a great this Saturday college football slate is awesome. I mean, from Thursday to Saturday, there is a lot of great games. I'm going to go with the home Dogs. They're -3. Haven't been super impressed with their offense. Their defense is still absolutely rock solid. So hopefully Kirby's got them boys fired up, them Dogs.
Hopefully we're eating off the floor this week, baby. Eating off the floor, man.
But I like Georgia laying the 3. Bama just hasn't been the same team that we saw underneath Saban. I think, you know, they're kind of just inconsistent is how I would explain them. Sometimes they look really good, sometimes they don't. But I'm going to go with Georgia's defense in Athens, -3.
All right. Let's go, baby, in Athens. All right, so each week, Brian's going to do his research on a set of games that we agree on in advance. I'm going to use the Prop Juice app to bring the insights to those same matchups and prop bets. We're going to discuss these angles and potential return on investment. We're going to give out some picks. We're going to simultaneously hopefully make you guys who are using Prop Juice and our app a little bit smarter on how to utilize that app and make some better picks. So before we get started on the games that we've chosen for this week, though, we got to recap last week, Brian. Wasn't as good as those first 2 weeks, we got to admit, right? We had some pretty killer first 2 weeks, but it wasn't horrible, man. So let's talk about what happened last week.
Yeah. Gotta own it, you know, like we were so on fire that week 1 to week 2, I was like, okay, we got to have a letdown. And it was even better. Then to week 3. But I mean, really the change, I mean, I ended up getting out on the KC game, which got me even for the week. But the one game that just maybe one of the sickest beats that I remember is the Rams +3.5. I mean, they make the field goal, they block the field goal, nothing's going to change. We're in the black, but they block it, and then Big Jordan Davis, another dog.
Let's go, dog.
He runs and thinks for a touchdown. I'm like, this did not just happen. I mean, I had a bunch of parlays going. That was my dog of the week. I loved him, and I don't know, man. It was just one of those weeks and I kind of warned for people that follow me on Twitter, I said, listen, when that injury report came out, it was 64 players. I go, this is the type of week that can really get ugly. And it did. And we're seeing that, I saw a stat yesterday that this is the lowest offensive output since 2005 league-wide. I mean,
wow.
You got to remember, there's been a few that have been huge blowouts too. So
what? And Monday night's game was a track meet, man. I mean,
exactly
38-30.
And even with all those games, yeah, it's the lowest offensive output since 2005 in the NFL. So, I'm not sure it's Arizona as much as if you look at the injury reports, there's just a lot of key people out. We had 5 starting quarterbacks didn't play last week. So anyway, I warned my private clients, I said, listen, just be careful this week. And I'm glad I did because, we fired, only about 25% of what the group normally fires. And I'm glad we did because after that game with the Rams, I was like, oh God. AI did pretty good though. It had the right sides. I think manipulating the lines kind of made the difference there, which is what we're doing. We're kind of using that human machine teaming, and that kind of kept us above water.
It definitely did. So Prop Juice lost some funds on Sunday. It got back up in the black on Monday though with that track meet game. Talk a little bit about that. It was definitely a straight bet weekend, right? It was parlays were getting killed by block kicks.
Yep, it's true.
Special teams plays, right? So this week our money line still had a winning record. They went 9-7, so that puts us at 36-12. We were at 85%. We're down to 75%, so we're regressing a little bit. We're still above 70%, which I still think is amazing. Our spreads went 10-6, so that makes our spreads 30-18, which is right on that 63% line, which I still think is pretty good for picking spreads against the spread. Yep. So the Rams didn't cover. Yeah, go ahead.
Making money.
Yeah, we're making money, right? Yeah, so we're staying in the black. We didn't have the killer 6,000% weekend that we had 2 weekends ago and whatever, but we still made some money. So the Rams didn't cover based on that block kick and run back. And like you said, that's got to be the worst bad beat ever. I did learn from the Commanders though, take the money line and either add some points right to the dog. So I did that, and so I added 7.5 to the Rams, and I took the Eagles money line on one of my bets, and that hit. My plus 3.5 did not hit, so I was 1 of 2 for that, for that game. The Bucks didn't cover. The Colts only punted once, I believe. Now we got that matchup this week. Colts at Rams. That's kind of juicy. The Ravens lost to the Lions on Monday. We had the Lions plus 1 to 2 points, so I took that and cashed that one. And the Lions-Ravens just did not disappoint on crazy parlays. So we just kind of started working out our touchdown predictor, and we actually cashed 6 of the top 8 touchdowns we had predicted. So we had 8 different players scoring a touchdown that were above 0.65, 0.75, something like that. And so you had, Montgomery was at the bottom of that list. You had that guy, is it Tez Walker's? He scored 2 touchdowns for Baltimore in the first 2 weeks. And so he was like a high, but I was like, nah, I was kind of lucky, man. I'm not going to go with that. So we kind of took him out of the list, and then we took the top 7 and we made a couple parlays, and we hit like a 4 touchdown parlay for 4,100. And then we put those same 4 touchdowns. So Bateman, Gibbs, Henry, and St. Brown. Those were our 4. Okay, we put those 4 on a
St. Brown has been on fire.
He's been awesome. We put those 4 on a 10-leg, 14,000 plus 14,000 parlay with a bunch of unders on Zay Flowers and overs on St. Brown and overs on Montgomery and Gibbs rushing yards, alt lines, and the tight ends. We put in Mark Andrews, and we put in Laporta.
Andrews had a big game.
Yeah, he had a big game. And so both of them went over their line. So there was 10 legs plus 14,000 cash, man. It was crazy. $5 paid 700. So, and we hit an 8-legger at 2,300, a 6-legger at 1,800. So all those parlays on Monday night basically just totally took care of the losses from Sunday.
Yeah.
So it was a
big
great
loss for me was the big loss for me was just the Rams. I mean, it killed the majority of the parlays that we had going.
Yeah.
And we had them, we were going to lose the money line, unless they make, I thought it was a chip shot field goal that I was already counting the money. But I still thought, it doesn't matter if he misses it. We have the 3.5. So it was just one of those ones where everything got crushed in, 5 seconds.
It was horrible, man. And then, that Bucks, the run back or the Bucks, man, on the Bucks. And then Baker had to come back at the last second. So Yeah, so just a reminder, From the Cave, Man vs. Machine, sponsored by Prop Juice, AI worth the squeeze. It's a full suite AI sports pick app that delivers data-driven game picks and prop bets right to your mobile phone and favorite web browser. You can sync your bets across multiple sports books. We recommend the top dog of the day and break down multiple models of each week's game all season long. Sign up at propjuice.ai. Get access to a new AI data-driven app before anyone else. Prop Juice, AI worth the squeeze. Also, put in our sponsor's code at checkout and get 10% off your platinum subscription with code Skybox10. Again, put in Skybox10 at sign up at propjuice.ai and get 10% off your first month's platinum level subscription. Okay, Brian, so let's jump into Seattle and Arizona. I mean, this is our Thursday night matchup. We've been doing these Thursday night previews for the last few weeks here. The Seattle Seahawks are headed to Arizona to take on the Cardinals and old Kyler Murray. And trying to fill that hole of that running game with that loss of James Conner. I mean, he's gone for the season. And Sam Darnold, he's looking like a stud again. I think PFF ranked him as the number one graded quarterback so far in the first 3 games of the season, with Jackson Smith and Jigba grabbing 5 receptions for 96 yards and a touchdown, including a grab for over 45 yards, man. And on the flip side, what is up with Marvin Harrison Jr.? I mean, is he just a big bust? He's come into the league blazing with high expectations, and now he can't catch a floater. Right in his hands, man. I mean, what's going on, dude? What's going on with this guy? And what's gonna happen this week in this NFC West matchup on Thursday Night Football, man?
Well, beside him being a Buckeye, he certainly has butterfingers. I mean, he dropped one. He was wide up. There was no one within 15 yards. But anyway, I think Seattle is coming on strong. I think Darnold is, he's learning the offense, much better. If you watch his QBR, he went from like an low 80s to a mid 80s to like a 150. He was unconscious last week. But I think him learning, he hasn't really had the running game that you would expect. Walker had 105 yards, I think, or 110 yards in week 2. And they've really had to kind of throw the ball. I mean, they did play New Orleans last week, and you got to kind of take that with a grain of salt because their defense is their team's just not very good. But, right. I think the biggest case in this game for me is losing Connor and watching those 2 backs come in for Arizona. They just did not look good. I mean, at all. I mean, if you take, Kyler Murray and he's capable of scrambling out. He's capable of throwing the ball. But if you force him to throw the ball and let a defense, like Seattle, just kind of key up and go after him, he's going to struggle. He only threw 1 TD for I think he was 22 for 36 or 37 or something for, like $150. But without Connor running the ball, Benson had, if you take out the 1 run he had, I think he had 40-something yards. But if you I think he had 1 run for 30. So, 10 rushes, and basically, if you take that out, he's rushing about a yard a carry. I don't know. I think they're going to struggle in the rushing game, and I think anytime you let a defense, just kind of tee it up and go after you because you don't really have a running game, they can kind of play, cover 3 and 4. Marvin Harrison, like we said, has not been very good. I like Seattle here. I bet it early. It was even. It was a pick 'em at a pretty good number. So I kind of put guys on it early. It went to 1.5. We're still kind of betting it. We always kind of wait for the injury report to come out because it's been so bad this year. Is it just me, or is it just
horrible?
So it's over the top. I mean, and it's not just like guys like offensive linemen, which you see go down, defensive linemen, which you see go down, corners and safeties and nickels that go down. But this has been like key players, 5 starting quarterbacks last week. And I don't know.
Achilles, ACLs. Yeah. I mean, that's killer.
So
we get Achilles and ACLs, man. Ugh.
Yeah. I mean, and then Eckler, another Achilles. I mean, and then Najee Harris, another. I mean, God, it's like, where does it end? And, when you start seeing a lot of guys getting picked up off practice teams, it's not good, I heard Odell Beckham might be suiting up in the next couple of weeks too. So, you start pulling guys like that, which are not game ready. CD Lamb now. And, it's just like every week it seems to be more and more and more. So I like Seattle here. Really, I like Seattle because I think they're an improving team. But I also like because Arizona just has a lot of injury problems. And I think Seattle's going to put it on them. I think it's only 1.5 because the game's, in Arizona. So anyway, I like the Seattle. It's one of my better bets this week.
Yeah,
What's AI look like on this game?
The AI has the Cardinals money line because it's pretty strong. They're at home, right? And you would think that if they were healthy, that they could potentially win this game, right? But our spreads are definitely leaning towards Seattle in this game. So, I mean, when you look at that team victory, I know it was the Saints, but I mean, Darnold was 14-18 for 218 yards and 2 touchdowns, man. They put 87 on the ground. Walker had 2 touchdowns, and they had a punt return for a touchdown. So, like, true team victory. I think they're just cooking. They even had a pick. And then you look at the other side of the ball and you're like, yeah, if they had Connor and Marvin Harrison was playing up to his potential and Kyler Murray was really going to, put it on there. I don't know. He's been disappointing this year. I mean, they had that game won, right? I mean, they really should have won that game this weekend, they kind of gave it away and, they had the safety and I don't know. I just thought that game was locked up, and it just is kind of bummer, man. So the AI's got
McBride dropped a couple of passes too. Harrison, we talked about dropped a couple of passes. Like Kyler gets a little frustrated because Kyler didn't have a bad game. It was kind of one of those typical, NFC, under 20-point defensive battles. But man, I tell you, San Francisco's banged up too. I'll give you a stat that's, talking about Arizona and San Francisco game real quick. That was absolutely shocking to me. There's only one team in the NFL that does not have a rushing touchdown, and it's the San Francisco 49ers with one of the best backs of the game, McCaffrey. They have 0 rushing touchdowns this whole season.
And like last year, he scored every week, right? I mean, I think his number was like minus 200 to score a touchdown every week because he scored every week.
Yeah, one of my clients is a big San Francisco fan. He tends to homer a little bit, and I try to talk him off the ledge. And when I told him that, he goes, "No way!" And then he texts me back about 20 minutes later. He goes, "Oh my God, you're right." And I go, "Yeah, 0 rushing touchdowns." And think about it, Purdy got hurt too, and they're playing with Mac Jones. So, how do we know any of these games?
Have you heard anything about that situation? Do we know if Purdy's going to play this week or Mac Jones?
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be Mac one more week. Okay. Shanahan kind of said game time decision. We'll see if he takes some snaps, Thursday and Friday. But it looks like it's going to be Mac one more game.
Okay. So with that, I mean, we've got on our spreads, we got Seattle actually winning this game in terms of the spreads. Our spreads are like, Seattle scores more points almost in all of our models, yet we have this crazy money line that says, Cardinals could win this game. So it's one of those mixed results. It's kind of like that Commanders Packers game we saw. So, but I'm going with the Seattle Seahawks, especially given all the injuries and everything that's going on. So let's head over to the Skybox Sports Network. Let's take a look at that Seattle Cardinals money line and spread prices across those sports books. This segment is sponsored by Skybox Sports Network, where you can buy your dream sports ticker or your live odds boards for your man cave or your bar. Get 10% off your purchase at Skybox Sports Network with code PropJuice at checkout. You can get these at Amazon or you can get them on their website. Again, if you use PropJuice at checkout, you'll get 10% off that dream ticker. So, Brian, what are you seeing across the books here when you look at the Seattle Arizona game?
I was just refreshing, Steve. It looks like the best money line number on the Cardinals is plus 105 at Caesars. The spreads have kind of, they're all 1.5. There's a couple of ones still out there. Sugar House is at 1. MGM is still at 1, which is kind of interesting. Caesars, of course, at 1.5. But it looks like the money line, Caesars is the only one that's I take it back. DraftKings has plus 105 on Arizona. And Caesars has plus 100. The rest of them are all like minus 102 to minus 105. And then on the Seattle side, it looks like, minus, I think the best is 115. Fanatics and MGM are 115 going up to like 120 at Caesars. So
would you rather,
it's a close game.
As someone who's going to bet this game, would you take the money line for Seattle or are you going to go the -1 route?
Yeah, I just take the money line. I think the ones are relevant.
You got a -1. It's like -115 versus -111, right? Or 105. So it's not really a huge price difference. And then if you hit that point, if it's a 1-point game, you have a push, right? So
yeah. I was thinking closer to game time, you might get a little better number on Seattle, but the way the steam has been coming, it's been going the opposite. Usually the home, the home dog starts getting some money late, and I'm just not seeing that coming in. So we're just gonna, that's the great thing about Skybox, right? You get to, I'm constantly refreshing it all day long, saying, hey, am I getting a better money line number that I'm really looking for? Exactly. I'm looking for a better money line on my dogs. If I see, the line would have to move so much that it's not going to happen for me to change my pick. So I'm on Seattle. It's just whether I take the 1.5, or I take the money line. It just depends on where the math comes out on it, at game time.
Gotcha. Okay, so with that, let's take a short break and have a word from our sponsor.
Hi, everybody. I'm Steve Shellman, the founder of Prop Juice, and I've been a customer of Skybox Sports Network for over 10 years. They've supplied me with live sports, scores, and odds every day for all my seasons: basketball, football, hockey, baseball, soccer. It's all there, right on your ticker, in your man cave, in your house, in your bar, in your sports pub. Go get a ticker from Skybox Sports Network. It provides all your favorite team logos. It gives news all day long. Show it off to your friends in your man cave. Everybody will love it. You can get them on Amazon. 10 years ago, I was looking for a ticker. It was like, I couldn't find one anywhere. I found Skybox Sports Network, and I ordered it immediately. I got 2 of them now. Get your ticker at Skybox Sports Network. Don't miss out on all the daily news and all the odds coming across your board, all the latest scores. When these games go to commercial, hey, just look up at your ticker. You can get the score right there. Get all your scores and all your odds from Skybox Sports Network. Get 10% off your ticker. Get 10% off your odds boards with the code PROPJUICE. Put PROPJUICE in it at checkout. 10% off Skybox Sports Network.
Okay, Brian, we're back and ready to cover the Commanders, who are going to Atlanta to take on Michael Penix and the Falcons. Commanders may be without JD, right? I don't think Daniels might play this week. He's currently limited in practice today, is what I last heard. Also, Terry McLaurin might be out with that hamstring injury. So it could be a battle of backups in Atlanta, and the Falcons are, well, actually, no, I guess they're not going to put Cousins in. There were some rumors that they were going to put Cousins in, and maybe it was going to be this battle of backups, but it looks like they're going to start Penix. But, I mean, they're coming off that trip to Carolina, if you can call it a trip, man. I don't know if they got off the plane. They certainly didn't come out of the locker room, right? I mean, they didn't score a single point, man, against one of the worst teams in the league. I mean, how do they bounce back against a banged-up Commanders team?
Yeah, I really wanted to see Cousins play this game because I think it was enough to make to switch my pick. I did the initial research, and Mariota played pretty good. I mean, people underestimate this in the NFL. Quarterbacks get banged up, especially quarterbacks like Jayden Daniels. He's small, he's undersized, he's thin, he runs a lot, he rushes a lot. I mean, he's not big and bulky like even Lamar, Jackson with Baltimore. So I kind of looked at this and I actually heard some reports, that Cousins will go play. I'm a big fan of him. I just think Penix is A, not ready, and B, I don't think he's what they think he is. He underthrows the ball a lot. He throws. Yeah. I mean, he got picked so bad. Those corners baited him so badly and picked those balls off for him. And I think he just hasn't adjusted to the speed of the game as well. But Cousins, the guy is just, wherever he's gone, he's been a winner. He understands the game. He's got a great quarterback mind. And I was really looking to play because Washington is banged up. Jayden, they're still kind of, saying game time decision. But Mariota looked pretty good. He had a 118 passer rating. He runs the ball. And, I don't know how effective that's going to be against, the defense, for Atlanta. Their defense is still pretty good, especially the defensive line. But, he ran it against Vegas, and Vegas' defensive line is pretty good too. And he ran the ball pretty effectively. I think he had 40 or 45 yards rushing. So anyway, I'm leaning Washington in this. I think Mariota's just a much better quarterback. I think it was against Cousins. It would probably be a tougher pick. And it was kind of, I was really hoping the rumors were true that Cousins was going to play. I think he should. For people that follow me on Twitter, I was blasting Atlanta. I lived there for 20 years. I had season tickets every year, and I was like, "Are you kidding me? Like, what is going on here? Like, this kid needs. You got a $30 million quarterback on the sideline who understands how to play the game in the NFL, and you're just going to have him hold a clipboard when you're getting embarrassed by Carolina, who is not a good football team." So anyway, I'm going to take Washington here. I was just seeing if the lines, I thought we'd see a little bit more movement on the lines, and it looks like 127 to 130, on the money line, and 1.5. I mean, I think that's probably about where it goes. 1.5. So I'm going to lean with Commanders because Atlanta just, there's some issues there.
Yeah, I mean, they only had like 220 yards of total offense put on them, and they lost 30-0. I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, they had 110 rushing yards put on them and 114 passing. So it's pretty much balanced, balanced attack with Bryce Young. I was looking at the stats to see if Bryce Young ran on him at all. I know he's not like a running quarterback, but he's mobile, and I didn't know if he had some scrambles. But he only had 2 for 8 yards because I was trying to see if what would bode well for what might happen this weekend with Mariota back there. Yeah, I mean, I just 30-0, only 200 yards. I mean, I don't know, man. The AI has the Commanders winning this game 0.55 money line, and basically covers the 1.5 definitely up to a 3. I mean, I've got the Commanders basically covering a 3-point spread here. Now that's scary because we saw a couple weeks ago when they were supposed to cover as a dog. They didn't do so well. They didn't get off the bus like Atlanta did, and it's like every week in the NFL, you just don't know what team's going to not make the trip, if you know what I mean. They come out flat.
I think Atlanta.
Yeah.
For Atlanta to be competitive in this game,
I think more in college with teams being flat, man, than in the NFL. I mean, these guys are paid professionals, but I mean, they were just they flat.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, for Atlanta, I think to be competitive in this game, Bijan Robinson's got to have a game like he had against Minnesota. They got to feed him the ball a lot. 20 to 25 carries. He's got to go for $150 or something like that. Rush it for 72 yards. But Penix was 18 for 36 and 2 picks. And it should have been 3 picks. I mean, one guy just flat out dropped an easy pick. So, listen, I just don't think he's that. I don't think he's a good quarterback. And I liked him at Washington. I thought this guy's got a hell of an arm. But I think he's gotten banged up a little bit. He's gotten hit a little bit, and that's different. And then he's used to outrunning guys in college where, he just gets outside and turns the corner and he's gone. He can't do that in the NFL because these linemen are as fast as he is. So, that's kind of brought it in. I just don't think he makes good decisions. And I think that's the difference between Cousins and him. They looked really good against Minnesota, but we kind of thought Minnesota was a better team, at least for me. I thought Minnesota was a better team than they ended up being anyway. But he looked pretty good, fairly decent. But going against Washington's defense is still pretty good. Their corners are relatively healthy. I was looking at the injury report this week. It looks like they got everybody playing, a couple questionable. So anyway, it's interesting that AI has them that much, Washington that much of an advantage. I didn't think they would, and Atlanta being at home, but I think that's the only reason why you're getting the 1.5.
Agreed. So from the cave, Man versus Machine, sponsored by Prop Juice, squeezing profits out of every wager. It's AI worth the squeeze. Sign up at propjuice.ai, get that platinum level subscription, be able to break down all the models and get all the signals for making parlays and choosing winners at propjuice.ai. AI worth the squeeze. Okay, Brian, let's move on to the Ravens-Chiefs game. The Ravens defense struggling against the run, it seems, given what we saw, what they gave up against the Lions on Monday night. And the Chiefs could have lost that Giants game if Mahomes doesn't pounce on that ball inside the 10-yard line, man, on that backwards
the bad
pass.
ball that he threw.
No, I know.
The really bad ball that he threw. In fact,
horrible,
he did it twice. Yeah.
Yeah. Two unusually top of the mountain teams, right? Both 1 and 2 needing to get a win. Who gets it done in KC this week?
I like Baltimore. I think they're in an absolute must-win situation. And if, for all the guys out there that have been watching our podcast, I told you in week 1, KC's not making the playoffs. They're going to have a down year. Everyone thought I was crazy. And I'm telling you, the Giants are a terrible football team. and they could have very easily won that game. I mean, if Russell Wilson wasn't throwing at the goalpost and instead throwing at some receivers, the Giants probably beat them. And that just doesn't bode well for them. I mean, you're also starting to see a little bit of, I saw, Reed bumping Travis Kelce on the sideline, he was fired up. You could see in that face. That's not normal. You don't usually see that from Kelce outside the line.
And then Big Red gave him the shoulder, man.
He did. So, anyway, I think Baltimore, I think the fumble at the end of the game had a big outcome, but Detroit looked way better than I've given them. I told everyone Detroit wasn't going to make the playoffs either. But, if they look like they did last week, I might have to reconsider and just take the big banger and say I'm wrong there. But
if Detroit played the Packers this past weekend, given that performance they put up against the Browns, that's a totally different outcome, man, than week one.
True. Yeah. I mean, one of the better stats that I really like, that I give a lot of credence to, is what's your series conversion rate? How often do you turn a 1st and 10 into another set of downs or a score? And if you look at the Lions, before last week against Baltimore, they were down in the middle of the pack. They weren't converting on third. They weren't, we know Campbell goes for it a lot on 4th down. He wasn't converting a lot on 4th and shorts. And, they moved all the way up to 4th in the NFL at 76.5% and moving on. I know the Baltimore game had a lot to do with it because they just seemed like Baltimore couldn't stop them at all. But I think that stat's always been really important to me. And I think, Detroit moving from, and that was one of the reasons why I had picked them not to have the same year. And I think a lot of that has to do with, you got 2 new coordinators calling plays. You got Goff is taking, him and Ben Johnson were, really on kind of the same team. And we're kind of seeing that was a little bit of letdown. So it might just be that they're kind of coming around and getting a little bit more cohesive, but they moved up to, the top of the heap now, at over 80% of converting, a 1st down and a score. So, I hope they turn it around. I'm a Lions fan.
That 4th down throw, man, that 4th down throw to Amon-Ra St. Brown, man, just right over the shoulder, man. That was such a sweet
perfect call, man. How many coaches in the NFL have the guts or the gonads to even make that call? But that's Campbell. That's what you get with them. So anyway, I'm going to go with Baltimore this week. If you look at Lamar Jackson, he's really having, I think we say this every year, he's having an MVP type year. Guy had almost 150 quarterback rating. He was 21 for 27, 3 tutties. He's doing it all. Henry's fumble, but it was just one of those brutal things. Everyone saw his reaction on the sideline. The guy doesn't fumble a lot. He's not, he's not prone to it. But I think the most impressive part of Baltimore was that they were really looking for Andrews. Tay Flowers was kind of, non-existent pretty much for most of the game. I think he only had
the
2
under
catches. I think he had 1 or 2 catches.
The AI was severely. The AI severely had him under. So I was like, wow, it's so wild, man. And I took the under, and he had 2 catches.
Yeah, he only had 3 targets. I don't think he had a target in the first half at all. And he had like 11 targets the week before. Yeah. So anyway, I think they're going to take a look at that. Listen, Harbaugh's a hell of a coach. Don't undersell him. I know sometimes he relaxes when he gets big leads, but he was scrambling this week. And I just don't think Casey's that good. I really think
Baltimore's part of it. Yeah, Baltimore's built to go get a lead and then, and then rush the quarterback.
Let the defense coast him in.
Yeah. And so they could have, they kind of almost did that against the Lions. They kind of could, they were back and forth, and but then they just let it go, and the Lions got up, and that was it. I think
you can never take your foot off the gas with the Lions because they can score at any time. They have so many weapons. So.
He got sacked.
I like Baltimore here.
Seven times for 55 yards, man. That negates Henry's 50 yards. Henry had 50 rushing yards, and Jackson had minus 55 in sacks, man.
Right. But you got to remember, Hutch is back playing. He's one of those Bosa type guys that you have to account for him. They're letting him line up wherever he wants. It's awesome. If you watch the individual plays on defense, he was all over the place. He was lining just behind. He was over on the right. He was over on the left. I mean, he just kind of came, and he's relentless. He's just one of those guys. He reminds me so much of when Bosa first came into the league. He's just one of those guys that gets after you, and he's hard to stop. And I think I read an article. I forgot who put it out. I don't know if it was Schefter, but someone was saying basically they asked the league to say, hey, watch these chop blocks, because that's the only reason. They haven't made it illegal. I mean, they made the chop back illegal, but not really the low block like it should be, and that's what's caused him all of his injuries. What broke his leg, but coming back from the injury that he's had, I've been pretty impressed because he looked awesome against Baltimore.
Yeah,
so he looked great.
Anyway,
he looked better. That's the best he's looked all season. I think that's the best he's looked as a pass rusher all season. I think he got more and more comfortable with it. Yeah. So the AI Ravens 0.68 money line is pretty high money line for us. The Ravens cover -2.5. Our smallest spread's -5. So I got them out for blood this week after blowing, two good, really offensive starts against the Lions and the Bills, man. I mean, the first halves of both of those games, they were on fire, man. And then the second half, they just let it go, man. I just don't think Mahomes has enough weapons to negate a Baltimore lead if they get up. So I'm thinking Baltimore gets up. Kansas City just doesn't have enough firepower to fight back, and the Ravens win by like a touchdown, man, I think.
Yep. I'm going to give you one of my squeeze plays this week. I took Baltimore -9.5.
Yeah, I got a spread on here. Let's see, what's my biggest spread? I got a spread that goes to 16, brother.
I mean, I think it could
I got
be
an
one of those
11,
games. I'm hoping.
12, and a 16. So that 10 is not really all that horrible, man.
Yeah.
Is that
Seattle
what you took?
Seattle and Baltimore are my two best bets this week. I like them a lot.
Wow. All right, so let's move on. We got the Ravens in that one. Let's cover the Bucks hosting the Eagles and Baker and the Bucks. And that
you can't keep them down.
O-line. I mean, come on, man. They got nobody on the line anymore. Gedicke's out. I mean, I heard Wirfs might be coming back. Evans is gone. Godwin could return. It's like we're mixing and matching players, man. I don't know about this Bucks team this week against a really good Eagles team. I mean, they're going into Tampa Bay. We know Todd Bowles has got the Eagles number. We know he's got Jalen Hurts' number, man, in terms of like the Eagles can't beat them the last couple of times, but I just don't see how it doesn't happen this time with all these injuries that the Bucks have, man. I know that Baker just whips up some magic, man, every now and again, but I don't see it this week. What you got?
All right, I'm going to throw you for a loop. So, first of all, losing Evans is a key piece. I would have loved this game even more if Evans was playing. And there was a chance Godwin was going to play, and he's still kind of questionable. So you kind of have to read between the lines, see what happens at game time. But this is the 7th year in a row that Evans has had a hamstring injury. 7th year in a row. That's what I call chronic. And, it's unfortunate because he's such a talent. And but I also, in my Circus Survivor, I had Tampa. So if you look at, so far this year, just real quick, I had Dallas, who needed a 64-yarder to get into overtime to win. And then I had Tampa after I was like, I sent my two buddies, I go, all right, I'm starting to GoFundMe for remotes because I just broke 2 of them. I mean, I was like so mad they gave it up to the end, and then he comes back and he wins again. So anyway, I'm actually going to throw you for a loop, and I'm going with Tampa.
You're not taking them to win, though, right? You're just taking them to cover, or are you taking them to win?
I'm taking them to cover, and I'm taking them a little bit on the money line. I was just looking, I was seeing if it was gone up any farther on Skybox. But it's one of those ones where it's kind of funny on where it's gone. Let me go back and refresh Skybox and see if anything's changed since we started the pod. Yeah, I mean, they're still getting 170 at DraftKings on the money line. The rest of it seems to be like 155 to 162.
Wow.
But you're getting 170 on DraftKings. I mean, it's worth a sprinkle. I mean, it's one of those games that I just think is going to be all over again the same type of plays. And I think you're going to have, him kind of scrambling out, if they can control the line and keep Jalen Carter from all over Baker's face all day. That's the one key play. I think Tampa's going to surprise Philly this week. Listen, if the Philly in the first half against the Rams shows up against Tampa, they're going to be down more than they were against the Rams.
That's
I'm
true.
Just telling you. So,
true.
Have they figured it out? I mean, really, people were like, "Oh my God, Philly was a different team in the second half." Were they a different team, or did the Rams just kind of choke it up, miss a lot of tackles, miss a lot of plays, broken coverages? There was a lot of mistakes made by the Rams
in the second half.
That game should have never been that close.
They gave that game away. I mean, the Rams should have won that game. They gave that game away. Yeah, I mean, in terms of the AI,
anyway, I'm sure the AI models are all over Philly, but
we are.
My pick is Tampa. I like the 3.5 because I think it's probably a field goal game, and I'm going to do a slight sprinkle, at the 170 money line on Tampa as well.
If they had Godeke man playing and they had Evans, then I think this is a different game. I just worry about those injuries, man. I mean, maybe you're right. Maybe it'll happen. I got 0.65 probability that the Eagles win this game. That's right in that 0.66 that we like. We really like 0.66 and above. It's right at 0.65, so right on that line. Wow. And we've got a spread of -3.5. So that definitely covers 2.5. Or no, is the spread 3.5 now still? Yeah. So we got spread 3.5. I think I've got one that's exactly 3.5. I've got one that's 4. I got one that's 5, 6. So. I got one, the ELO model, the power rank model that we use has the Bucks covering this game by a point or a half point. So we do have one model that suggests that they can cover the game, but everything else points in the direction of Philly. So,
yeah. I figured that's probably that's where the numbers are going. This is one of those games that, I come up with on, just a couple of different stats that I use that most people don't. And, I wish Evans was playing. It really would make me feel a ton better. But Shipley's questionable for Philly as well. Nolan Smith's on injured reserve. So, none of those guys are coming. Cooper's not back. Shipley and McKee are both still questionable. I don't know. Something tells me Tampa's going to pull off an upset, and I'm thinking it's going to be this week against Philly.
I mean, that would be insane, right? I mean, that would just be really insane. So
we like the dogs.
Get your dream sports ticker at Skybox Sports Network. It displays all your favorite team logos. It keeps up to date with your sports news 24/7. Displays real-time odds on your ticker and also on your odds boards. Show off your ticker in your man cave or your local sports bar. Don't miss breaking news or changing odds. Use Prop Juice at checkout for 10% off Skybox Sports Network. Available on Amazon and on their website. Okay, Brian, we're going to close out the day like we normally do here. We're going to talk about dogs. So who you bringing to the dog party this week, man? We've been pretty good so far. Who you got?
I think I've been talking about dogs all day. I think
I know. You just threw out a dog, right? You just threw out Tampa Bay. Yeah. So now an unofficial. Now we need an official dog. We need an official dog.
Okay. So this one is my. I've been looking at this game a lot. It kind of went back and forth. And then, I saw that stat with McCaffrey and the San Francisco 49ers have no rushing touchdowns. So my dog of the week is going to be the Jacksonville Jaguars.
There you go, man. They look good, dude. They're playing well, man.
Yeah, I think they're coming together a little bit. I'm not sure Trevor Lawrence, is the quarterback that everybody wants him to be, unfortunately. He's kind of just hit and miss. But I think San Francisco being banged up, for the first half against Arizona, Mac Jones looked terrible. The week before he looked great. So I just think that's what you get with a backup quarter is inconsistency. McCaffrey's catching the ball out of the backfield, but, Bosa, having him out for the rest of the year. Listen, I think this is going to be one of those games that the line's going to get better if you like Jacksonville, and I'm going to take the points, and I'm also going to take a little sprinkling of the money line for them to win outright. Jacksonville's defense is very good. Jacksonville's defense is better than Arizona. And Arizona, held them to what was it, 19?
Yeah,
16
Arizona should have won the game. Arizona should have won the game,
Yeah.
man. So, when you look,
Jacksonville is my upset dog of the week.
Yeah, they got Etienne and another guy Tootin in the backfield. They ran for about 86 yards this week against the Texans, and Lawrence put up 200 yards. So again, 300 yards. That's more than we talked about. In the Carolina game, they scored 30. Right? So they're getting yards. They're moving the ball. They obviously played some decent defense against the Texans. CJ Stroud looks like he's struggling a little bit. He threw for 204. He had 2 picks. So that Jacksonville defense, like you said, man, came to play. I think they could pick Mac Jones or Purdy if he plays, man. So I think Jacksonville can have a good game. So the AI has the 49ers winning this game, like you would suspect, but we definitely have the Jags covering. We got Jags cover +3, just outright on our consensus spread. Now we've got a couple models that show that San Francisco cover, but we got our consensus, and 4 models show that Jacksonville covers this game.
Yeah, are you going to keep Brian Thomas? I think he went 11 yards in week 1. I know they were all under 50. And are you going to have him have those type of games for the rest of the season? He's one of the top receivers in the NFL. I just think he's going to have one of those breakout years. Etienne, he kind of gives you what you expect from him, but Trevor Lawrence had a bad game, and they beat a really good Houston defense. And, as banged up as the defense is for San Francisco, as well as the offense, and then having Mac Jones, I think the blitz rate for Jacksonville is I think 5th in the NFL, and I think they're 6th in success in the blitz rate, in win success for blitzing. So I think Mac Jones he's gonna see some Jaguars in his face for the whole game, and he tends to make mistakes when that happens. So I don't know if Trevor Lawrence has another 55 or 56 QBR, then I look like dog shit. But I'm gonna go with he's gonna have a better game, and he's gonna put up some numbers. And Brian Thomas, look for him to have a really big game. I think it's gonna be one of those ones that he's gonna okay, this is the Brian Thomas we've been waiting for.
Yeah, in terms of Trayvon Walker got a sack. He's looking good. And then Eric Armstead had a sack or a half sack. So they had 2 sacks, and then like I said, the 2 picks. So the defense is looking good. And then, like you said, Brian Thomas, he only had 2 catches in this game, man. But the long one was 46 yards. So he's a deep threat, right? And really, Lawrence is spreading the ball around. Strange, Washington, Hunter didn't have that big of a game this week, but he did have a decent game the last week. So Tim Patrick, you've got all these different guys having all these different catches. He 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 guys caught balls from Trevor Lawrence this past weekend. So he's really spreading the ball.
And
around,
the more that those other receivers, become more and more successful, you're going to see Thomas open up a lot. And I think that's what's going to happen. I think you're going to have some deep balls. The corners for San Francisco are a little banged up too. So anyway, I like this dog a lot. I used it quite a bit. And, that's my big upset for the week.
Okay, well, let's talk about the AI. I've got the Colts, baby. I know that the Rams are coming off that tough loss, and I think they'll probably win the game, man. I got a money line of 0.66 for the Rams, but I got the Colts covering this game, man. I got 2 spreads say they actually win it. And then I got two spreads say they cover. I got 1, 2, 3, 4. I got 5 spreads that say they win it. So, they can win this game. Yeah. The money line is, it's not that big, 0.66. It's right in that line I was talking about, right? It's the exact same thing we got going on a lot of these games, right? That we've been covering in terms of we got a money line.
66, 67 probability rate. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we got these spreads that show the opposite, or show that they're covering. The dog is covering. So I'm going to go with the Colts this week to cover. I think Daniel Jones he's looking like Josh Allen, man. you put a 17 jersey on him in a Bills uniform, it looks like Josh Allen playing quarterback back there, man. I mean,
I was just talking about that. You know, my favorite stat is, you know, how often their series conversion rate. The number one team in the NFL is the Indianapolis Colts at 83.1% of turning, you know, into first downs or scores. I mean, we finally found out they actually have a punter on their roster last week.
Oh, I know. I mean,
first punt of the year.
Brian, they scored 33 against Miami. They scored 29 against Denver, and they scored 41 against Tennessee, man. I mean, they're over 30 points a game average, right? So that means the Rams are going to have to score 30. Or let's say the Rams defense plays better than all these other teams. I mean, look, they haven't played that many people, right? I mean, that's the same thing you could say about the Bucks, though, man. I mean, the Bakers had to come back on last-minute drives against basically nobody, right? I mean, it's not like he's playing the Eagles. They're playing the Eagles this week. Let's see what happens, right? So you've got the Dolphins.
But Houston's defense is good, too. I mean, they had to come. Yeah. I mean, the Bakers, he's had to come back. There's no doubt about it. But the defense for Houston
the Texans' defense was good. That's right. You're right. I'll give you credit on that one. Denver is probably the best team they've played, and they only won by 1 point, right? So it's 29-28. Yep. They trounced Miami, and they basically trounced Tennessee, beat them by 3 touchdowns, man. So they don't punt. The guy wears Josh Allen's number. I mean, he looks like Josh Allen back there, except, you know, it's white and blue instead of blue and red and white. So I think they're going to play well. I think the Rams coming off the loss are going to have to get back up. They can't believe they lost that game maybe. So the Rams start slow. Colts do not start slow. Now, the Rams didn't start slow this past week, though. I was worried about the 1 o'clock start time on the East Coast of the Rams, too. And I was nervous about that. I think I mentioned some text to you about, I don't think the NFL should allow West Coast teams to play at 1 o'clock on the East Coast. They're getting up at 6 a.m., man, to make their game. Yeah. So anyway, enough digression on NFL rules. I think that the Rams normally start a little slow and they finish fast. And if they start slow in this game, I don't think the Colts take the foot off their gas. But we'll see. I mean, it's going to be a good defensive matchup. It's going to be the best defense that the Colts have probably played. And so we're going to see whether or not Daniel Jones is for real or not, right?
You're going to find out, because the Rams is definitely the best defense that they face this year. They get after you. They get at them. And, that's when people were, shitting on Danny Dimes and the Giants, the reason it is because he was just getting hammered by defenses all year long. The offensive line was not very good with the Giants, and he didn't look like the quarterback he is. Fortunately for him, he got another shot in the NFL to show that he's actually pretty talented. But he's going to have to show that he is, the Daniel Jones of the Indianapolis Colts and not the Daniel Jones of the New York Giants. And we're going to see it this week, because they're definitely going to get after him.
Yeah. So, Brian, I think we agree on the Ravens beating the Chiefs, the Commanders beating the Falcons, the Seahawks beating the Cardinals. You got the Bucks covering and winning against the Eagles. The AI doesn't. I have the Colts covering against the Rams, maybe winning this game, and we'll just see where things land, right? You can get these data-backed, model-driven insights all season long. Sign up for Prop Juice at propjuice.ai. Participate, subscription, cancel at any time. Come see what Prop Juice AI has to offer and give us some feedback. Come sync your bets across multiple books. I think we're going to have that up this week. Track how you perform each week on NFL bet types, player props, game picks. Gear up for the NBA, because that's coming up in October 21st. The NBA season launches. Come sign up for the NFL and the NBA at propjuice.ai. AI worth the squeeze. Don't forget to get that ticker for your man cave or your sports pub. Just go to Amazon and have one delivered right to your doorstep. Use the discount code PROPJUICE at checkout. Get 10% off your purchase. It's that easy. 10% off odds, news, scores that keep you informed all season long. Skybox Sports Network, available at Amazon or on their website. So, Brian, it's been a fun time, and we got a big college slate this weekend, man. So you got any more college picks you want to give out other than the Dogs, baby?
I love Indiana over Iowa covering the 7. I like them a lot. And I also like LSU. But has anyone been following what's going on with the mind games between Kiffin's daughter and, dating the guy from LSU? And
it's wild.
Saying, take the over. It's
he said take the over, man.
Yeah.
I took the over. I got to admit, I got in there and I took the over, man.
I mean, if he gets up, he's going to lay it to him. But I like LSU this game. I think LSU is one of the better teams in football. So I like LSU. I love Saturday. I mean, I take off for Chile this weekend, and I'm going to try to get as much games as I can. I'm going to have to do a lot of catch up and record and catch up when I get back. But this college Saturday, God forbid if anyone invited you to a wedding this Saturday.
Oh my gosh, dude! Oh my goodness.
Football.
Woo, that's rough, right?
I do have one really good prop bet that I'll give out. You want me to give out a prop bet?
Yeah, give out a prop bet, man.
All right. I'm going to give you a TD, a 4-person, anytime touchdown for this Sunday.
All right.
It's roughly around plus 9,000. You ready?
Wow.
Jordan
what you got,
Addison
man?
For the Vikings. So I got
Addison.
Cooper Kupp, Addison, McConkey, and Drake London. So it was quite a few of the games that we talked about today, the Seattle and the Commanders game. But for every $100 is paying around $9,000. So it was one that I put in early. I like the lines, and I've discussed. I'm not a huge prop better, but I've been kind of killing these touchdown bets. So
Me
I'm
too,
just gonna
man.
go with it, keep rolling the dice, and say, hey, I just like to take long shots. It makes the games more interesting to watch. So that's my 14 anytime touchdown score play.
I like it, man. 4 receivers right there on the parlay. All right, guys, spread the word, like the channel, come back next week. Oh, no, sink 'em. From the game, man versus machine pits expert capper Brian Reiner against Prop Juice AI data back machine. Catch next week's episode on Thursday before kickoff to Week 5's games. Again, we've had a great time talking ball here. Let's hope our picks win. Let's hope the dogs win this weekend, baby. We'll see you next week from the cave, man versus machine. Go get them, baby. Go get them.